Where are the colors, James? Where are they? I need to know what color to paint my north-facing room. Tell me now, I can't take it anymore. I hear you loud and clear, people. So let's talk about some Benjamin Moore paint color choices for north-facing rooms. If you haven't seen our explainer video on how to pick colors for north-facing rooms, just in general, I would strongly recommend you watch that first because it goes over the behavior of that lighting exposure and its effect on paint colors. But if you want a quick little breakdown, rooms that have natural light coming in from the north or that are north facing, they're not going to have any real direct sunlight throughout the day, which means your lighting will tend to feel a bit cooler with a toning down effect of whatever colors you go with. So just like in our Eastern exposure video, I have 5 colors here that I want to recommend to you. These are not the only choices that you have, clearly, but I tried to pick 5 distinct looks that you can hopefully be inspired by and make a different choice yourself based on them. I aim to inspire. The first color I want to go with is the brightest color on this list. I did mention in another video that you want to be careful with off-whites that have a touch of yellow in northern exposures because it could really push things into green territory when those undertones are a bit subtle with their yellow coloration. Which is why I would pick a color that is a little more deliberate in its use of warmth. And that color would be Mascarpone AF20, which is part of the Benjamin Moore Affinity line of colors. And what I like about it is it's one of the warmest off-whites that doesn't feel too heavy-handed with its yellow undertone. It's also creamy but doesn't feel buttery like some other paint colors. And it just really represents the cheese it was named after. Mascarpone accomplishes 2 things in your northern exposed room. It'll help combat the cooler color cast that's coming through because of its natural warmth, but it also has a really high LRV of 90.83, which is extremely high and bright. Perfect for those rooms that only get a moderate amount of light. Now I say moderate because a lot of people think that if you have a dimly lit room, you immediately want to go with a color that is as light as possible. But what that can sometimes do is have your paint color completely disappear into thin air. Also, when there's questionable lighting happening, your off-white paint colors can look a bit dull, especially in the corners of rooms, I find. So a good way to combat this is to introduce some stronger color choices like our next color, Shaker Beige. Part of the Benjamin Moore historical color collection, this is a completely different approach to warmth because Shaker Beige is a midtone with an LRV of 54.61. And although this has some yellow in it, the color is really more about the beautiful sandy tan beige combination, which adds a sense of stability to the space. It's a great combination because it has a lot of actual colorant in the paint itself, but still maintains a strong sense of warmth, which is a huge thing here. And that'll keep the vibes real positive. You'll notice a trend that for at least most of the colors I'm going to talk about today, there's going to be some warmth present. Because of all the coolness coming in from the north, you got to bring in that warmth to counteract it. The great cold north, I tell ya. Now, what if your color palette favors colors that aren't visibly warm, or at least you're dealing a little bit more with monochromatics and perhaps gray? Well, I still think you want to have some warmth in there because you're fighting against the bluification of your north-facing windows. But if gray is what you want and you don't want to go too warm, the one I might recommend is a lesser-known gray-beige color called Athena, based on my absolutely favorite Greek god. Athena is interesting because its LRV is just under 70, so definitely enough color in there to pop, even in a northern exposed room. But it has a nice balanced composition of gray and even a touch of brown as well. And I would say it takes a baby step towards green in its undertones in those north-facing rooms, but it's a pleasant color overall and will really help accomplish your goal of introducing a neutral gray without it feeling overly cool. Speaking of green, I really want to stay on brand here and talk about one of my current favorite greens to work with. And currently, I'm actually in a northwestern exposed room, which does have periods of cool lighting. And this green right here just looks stunning no matter what time of day it is. And it's of course Benjamin Moore's Chimichurri. On the Benjamin Moore website, it's described as really fragrant and spicy, and it's a bold, fresh bite. Definitely not a description I would think of when describing a color, but it sounds delicious. And that's because it's named after a beautiful sauce that I love on my steak. But what I love about this color is its surprising amount of yellow warmth inside. It's not like other dark greens that can swing towards teal with a blue undertone, which maybe you don't want in this case. Chimichurri does a really great job at having that herbaceous coloration that is not too common in most popular dark green colors. This is clearly a bold color choice for an entire room because it has an LRV right under 8, 7.73. But if you don't mind that, or you're specifically looking for that, then this color is a pretty solid choice. The final color I want to talk about today is a little bit on the cooler side, but it's the cool category that I enjoy in northern exposures. It's not necessarily straight up blue, but it has a touch of it in it. It's a purple, or more specifically, Majestic Mauve, which is an icy mauve color that is relatively toned down, adding to its usability in many spaces. I specifically love it in north-facing rooms because its coloration simply softens rather than turning ice cold, and that's because of the added brown and red undertones settling the purple quality down. It functions in a similar way that the warmth in Athena does, but in this case, you don't have that potential green color cast coming through because the purple is really pushing against that. I think I'm liking mauve almost as much as green lately. Hope this helped. 2 exposures down, 2 to go. Is it going to be west-facing rooms or south next? Let me know because I struggle with decision making sometimes. Okay, bye.